Hello and welcome to the Portmer Podcast, episode 221. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And this week, obviously, this is coming out the week 11th edition launches. We just got points. We got all of those last rules we were looking for. We can do our big hot takes for 11th edition proper now after our 5-hour preview show. So no time like the present to talk about...
Hey, look, there's a Carnifex.
Oh, shit. All right, we're back in the classroom, everybody. It is time for us to grade every faction's distraction Carnifex. The promise came true. 2026, it is finally time.
It's been a little while since we brought up the what is a distraction Carnifex. If you're interested in fully learning about that, we've got an episode, but let's go over like the quick examples so we can figure out what we're actually grading against.
So to start with, it should be a model or a small elite unit. So like Carnifexes, they can pair up into two, and technically they could have Old One Eye leading them for a third, but we'll say like, two.
Definitely not a squad of 20.
They should also be not a huge investment. You don't want to lose a quarter of your points when this thing goes.
An amount that you can lose without being too worried.
Yeah, so basically if we go under 100 points, it needs to be like for a one-of model. If we go over 200 points, we're probably losing some points here on the test.
Right. To be a distraction though, you have to actually distract your opponent. Generally, that's involving being threatening, moving up the board and actually doing something.
Yeah, so we want something that can get jammed into mid-board, make your opponent deal with it. Something that has actual offensive threat, though, not just a brick.
Distraction Carnifexes need to be able to hit back and actually threaten.
Yeah, this isn't like a Brick of Wraiths with a Technomancer to be like an immortal blob that can hold a midpoint and never lose it. This is meant to be something that tussles. It's there to distract everybody while your key units run around, do their actions in peace, and this is requiring your opponent to make an investment to remove it.
Yeah, so it's got to be able to tango, but that means that it can't just get shot off the board with a couple bolters. It has to be slightly defensive.
Yeah, you don't have to be immortal. We just want to make sure that your opponent has to commit to destroy it.
Yeah, and one of the more fun parts of a distraction Carnifex is the intimidation, the psychological warfare involved. Ooh, that's scary. That looks like a problem. I need to commit a lot of my resources to deal with it.
Yeah, this is our vague way of saying, we want an impressive dude. Carnifexes, at their time, were crazy cool, big, impressive things. They're a little smaller nowadays compared to the rest of the game, but they're still a beefy boy.
Yeah, they're still kind of scary. One of the problems is, I feel like Distraction Carnifex is kind of known here and there, so, that kind of loses a bit of it, where it's oh, hey, look, it's a Distraction Carnifex. I wonder if I should be distracted.
At the same time, the point is you make it not a choice. Part of a distraction Carnifex isn't just to be psychological. It is you are forcing your opponent to make a bad choice. They don't get a real good option. They have to deal with the distraction Carnifex, which means they can't deal with the other stuff that the distraction Carnifex is there to protect.
So I guess let's take a look at our actual A+ Carnifex.
All right, so let's start off with our A+ student, which has a little caveat. So it does get to be the Carnifex. Congratulations, Tyranids. You get to take Space Marine's spot as our A+ student. It's a rare exception case, but we did it.
So this episode's going to have a decent amount of actually talking stats, what the unit can do on the tabletop and what the numbers actually kind of mean.
Yeah, Distraction Carnifex is a game term, so we do have to talk the gameplay of these models a bit more than we usually would. It's not just vibes.
But there is an amount of vibes for the intimidation factor that we'll talk about as well. The actual data sheet for a Carnifex, though, 90 points for 1, 180 for 2. It can move 8, has 9 toughness, 2 up save, 8 wounds.
Defensively, it's pretty good. However, when we get to other factions here, it gets beat by several. While this is the default A+, because it is the entire thing we're comparing to, there are just in other factions things that are better distraction Carnifexes than the Carnifex. That is just the case of current sheets. I'm sorry, Tyranids, 10th edition Codex. You get to deal with it for who knows how much longer.
But the Carnifex still is pretty solid.
And it's better when you realize that the army ability helps the strength out and stuff like that.
Yeah, solid save, decent toughness, especially if you're going to take 2 of them. You've got 6 16 wounds split up there. From a threat perspective, it's not bad.
It's about middle of the road, which I think is correct for this. It is enough where it will be usually equipped with a melee profile that slaps in melee and is a threat. So if something tries to charge it, it does have to fight a real monster. And enough damage from its ranged weapon it's likely also equipped with that you can't just ignore it on mid because it will cause issues for you with its shooting. It also, the Blistering Assault ability is a great distraction Carnifex ability, which does give it some nice bonus points. The fact that it gets the reactive move towards things that hit it.
I mean, that is a strong ability, but it's also just an annoying ability when you're playing against it to a certain aspect. Yeah, that's actually distracting. Like, there are abilities that exist that are just annoying. I just want to deal with that before it's a problem. The Carnifex might not be quite as scary from a model aspect as it used to be, but like, it's still got annoying abilities. It still looks pretty cool. It's a good distraction Carnifex.
We do also have extra credit this week. So we talked and we decided it's been a while since we've had an extra credit assignment, and this is a good one where a lot of factions can score some extra credit points.
Yeah, even Tyranids apparently.
Tyranids have multiple distraction Carnifexes. There is the Screamer Killer, obviously, which is a Carnifex variant that has a different sheet and a very intimidating Worf haircut. The intimidation factor is the fact that he is threatening to give you his haircut, and nobody wants that.
Wow.
But the Screamer Killer, it's got a Battle Shock based ability, which is meh, but it does have a ranged attack that is pretty solid for marine clearing. Melee is actually really solid again, much like the Carnifexes, worth an extra credit point. The Psychophage is the other one. It's 110 points at the beginning of 11th. This one's only got the 3-up save versus the 2-ups of the Carnifexes, but it comes with a 5-up Feel No Pain, and it gives an aura of a Feel No Pain, which gets less than the distraction Carnifex side, but it's another bonus it's giving.
I mean, the aura is an annoyance kind of thing. It is generally inadvisable to be committing like a bunch of other stuff next to your distraction Carnifex, because then it becomes like more of just like a focused area.
Yeah.
But having the 5-up Feel No Pain on its own is like, yeah, this is reasonably tough. Having a flamer is like always nice.
Yeah, having access to what is essentially a heavy flamer for a ranged attack, and then a melee profile that's all right.
It's shockingly good because of Dev Wound.
Dev Wounds is helping it a lot. It's basically what keeps it arguable, or I probably would have nixed it.
Yeah, not quite as scary as the Screamer Killer in melee, but I think it's still a pretty good distraction Carnifex overall.
So, A+, 2 points of extra credits for Tyranids. Let's call that a win and move on to our first other student.
Yeah, since we're talking Tyranids, let's just go straight into Genestealers.
We're not starting with Sisters of Battle into Custodes?
No, not this time. Yeah, the A+ student wasn't Space Marines, so we gotta switch it up.
How are we supposed to give Sisters a slightly lower grade than they deserve because they were the first one we were grading, though? I don't know what to do with myself, Eric.
It's gonna be tough, but I guess Genestealers is just gonna have to fill in.
All right, I will say as we get into this in advance, we obviously went through and picked all these out before the episode. This is going to be a very high scoring class assignment. Most armies have a very solid distraction Carnifex. Not all A's, but I expect very high scores across the board this week. This is definitely going to help improve grades for the semester.
So Genestealers is going to start their submission with the Goliath Rock Grinder. Their like transport tank thing.
Yeah, it's the all-rounder vehicle of Genestealers. So this one, it's T10 with a 3-up save. It's got 10 wounds. Not the best profile defensively, but honestly, the Carnifex wasn't either.
This is kind of weak defensively, but it's also like Genestealers, so yeah, it was kind of expected. It is only 120 points, so also keeping that in mind a little bit.
Yeah, we do have to, when we're talking about these, check points versus what you're getting, because there is a decent range here where some of these cost almost double what others do, so you have to grade them differently. But on the lower end points cost wise, and we still get a decent profile for threats. The 12-inch move, if we park it mid, is good. It is a very large model, but that's fine. Free pivoting at the beginning of 11th at least. That's kind of hot.
I mean, yeah, but also whatever.
Ranged weapon wise, we have quite a few things it's equipped with and a main weapon that you can trade out. If we go with the seismic cannon, you have like just a good universal threat that someone has to take note of. But like the incinerator is also a really good pick if you're trying to be a pest on mid board.
It also actually has a melee that's kind of scary.
It's why it is the pick here. 8 attacks, hitting on 3s as a vehicle, strength 10, AP -2 damage to. That is a real profile. This is more attacks, more strength, but less damage. It's completely defensible.
I don't know from a scary part on the board, like looking across and seeing this like truck with a bulldozer on it.
That's the issue, isn't it? It's where I had the issue too of the, I feel like if I'm staring at a pair of Carnifexes or I'm staring at this truck that is basically a big rectangle.
Yeah.
This is just a truck has so much issue with being threatening. The psychology is where it fails.
It really does. And I don't know, I'm not entirely sure why. Cause like the dozer has the scary like blade things. So like the melee weapon makes sense. It should be kind of scary. And it doesn't register in my brain threat.
So I think stat-wise, it's a pure pass. Like everything checks all the boxes, but I think because we both have the same issue psychology-wise, I would argue only A-.
Okay, I can go to an A-. I was thinking a B+, but I'm good with an A-.
I can't think of a stat issue though. It's just psychology, which I think just lowers you down to your minus. For now, until I change it later to screw over sisters.
We're gonna inverse it. The early submissions are gonna do better than the late ones.
The professor had a little too much to drink this week.
There's also the extra credit submission, the Achilles Ridge Runners.
This one is definitely a worse submission, but it also does meet a lot of the criteria. So this one, 95 points or 160 for 2 right now. You get only toughness 7, but 3 up save, 8 wounds per vehicle. So again, for the 160, you get 16 wounds. It does have the ability to activate its smoke keyword for 0 CP. It's an extra defensive layer that weirdly works kind of well as a defensive layer for other stuff in 11th, but anyway.
It does kind of feel more of like a fast support.
Yeah, it has the key problem for me of ranged weapon wise, it's pretty good. It's got a support based ability and it has no melee profile. I don't think this could be good enough for a true submission. It'd be like a C, but I think it's good enough to check the box for extra credit.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's take a look at what Orks have. I feel like they should have some pretty good options, right?
They do. It's a little odd. They have a lot of options outside of the range where I just kind of had to nix it because it was either on the too cheap, too much of just an anvil, it's a squad with a leader and stuff, or it was like 220 points.
Turns out that the Morkanauts are like 250.
They were shockingly close to being options, weirdly. And I think they would have gotten max points as a psychology test.
But like, yeah, also like Meganobs are a little odd in like the grouping.
Yeah, so the clear obvious one, because it's also a quote unquote dreadnought like the Carnifex, is the Death Dread.
So the Death Dread is 110 points. It's 8 movement, 9 toughness, 2 up save with a 6 up invuln, 8 wounds.
Honestly, it's unfortunate it can't double up, because if it could double up and be a little bit cheaper on the 2 pair than 1, it would be dead on with the Carnifex in my head.
Yeah.
Like it's a little more expensive individually. Orks versus Nids have the whole, like their different armies, different support abilities, but solid baseline. Ranged weapon wise, it's orc shooting, we know, but you could always default to Scorches.
It's like pretty good options for orc shooting. There's an amount that you have to just accept that it's still orc shooting and not the scariest, but like eventually they'll hit. What about the melee though?
I think you either go pair of Scorches or like custom Mega Blastas for your main, and then you have a pair of Dreadclaws for your melee. So Dreadclaws are a bit weird because they actually vary based on their dead choppy ability. They get extra attacks for the more of them equipped. So you could go full claws.
I was gonna say, come on, the reason I brought that up is so you can go full claws. Who gives a shit about the ranged weapons?
But that does have the issue of having no ability to broadcast your threat.
That is true.
To me, that loses points when you go full into one side. You want the mix.
I feel like having melee without ranged is better for this in general.
I 100% agree, because at least you can be a threat on midboard. So as for the Dreadclaws profile, so this thing does a lot of damage if you got a pair of them.
Yeah, it's pretty killy.
You have the ability to do quite a bit more damage to high high toughness targets than most of the other things we've looked at.
I actually don't think that's too bad of an idea, but mostly because this is orcs. So when I had previously said I like melee more than I like ranged if it's an either or for Distraction Carnifex, but there is a caveat of different factions have different loadouts. In Tau, that's not true. I don't want just melee because the other melee sucks essentially.
Fair point. Just like with orcs, yes, the hitting on 5s means every like good weapon we add on orcs is getting very little value than if it was on like a random Eldar who can shoot right.
Right. And also like orcs, the Wa turn, you can advance, charge, your melee get an extra strength. The Death Dread has an ability about doing mortals when they charge. So there's a lot of aspects of get in melee, do good kind of thing. 8-inch move is decent, but it's not amazing. The fact that you can move 8, advance, and charge means that like the melee threat is still quite large. So like I don't think it's insane to go further with the Dread Claws, but the ranged weapons aren't too bad. Like they're decent options for orcs.
Yeah, it's a good point. So what do we want to grade it in the end here? I can't fault it for the options it has. It's got very good melee and it has ranged.
It has ranged.
I would say even good ranged, but the problem is 5-up ballistic skill of orcs means you're always limited.
It's good for orcs. Like these are some of your better options. So like, I mean, I don't think it's an A+, but what about the psychological, I see the Death Dread? How distracted am I going to be?
I think it's at least on par with the Carnifex. Yes, it's small by modern standards, but it's still decent.
Yeah.
It's not tiny, it's just I'm fully expecting sexy, new, bigger Death Dread.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
We haven't seen the fall releases for orcs yet for their codex, but this is one of the older models. It's such a low-hanging fruit to give them a crazy thing to put up against a Redemptor in a sales pitch thing. Like, it just feels right.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen. I mean, Gito's going to do it like the day after we release this episode, right? That's how it generally happens. But I don't think we can really take away from, being just like kind of silly looking or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I have trouble giving it anything less than just a solid A.
That seems fine to me. Like, I don't know if it can reach A+. A is safe.
Yeah.
And because it's orcs, we had other options.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the kill rig. 145 points now, 10-inch move, 10 toughness, 3-up save, 16 wounds.
It's a lot for 145 points.
It's even got a feel no pain 6-up.
Yeah, it's not bad defensively. Offensively, it is still orc shooting, but the War Tower alone is kind of scary.
Well, Psychic's changed now, so
only D3 attacks off it, but Torrent means they automatically hit. So it's D3 hits. And it's a strength 12, AP -3, D6 damage weapon. Solid ranged weapon. Melee-wise, it's got the whole saw blade sidecar thing going on where you get 6 attacks at 10 -2/2. And then the other add-on extra attack stuff that's like fine additions, but the main appeal being those. This is honestly also probably just an A.
I think so.
Huge win, instant thumbs up success here. Again, another extra credit, easy. They submitted one more. I don't know if we want to give it the extra credit though. What do we got, Eric?
So the Beast Boss on Squig, it's actually down to 95 points now. 10 movement, 8 toughness, 3-up save, 5-up invuln, 8 wounds, 5-up feel no pain.
It is definitely Carnifex-esque defensively and all of that.
It technically has ranged weapons, but no.
And the thing that really makes it lose it for me is the melee. We get strength 6 and strength 7, and like that's the limit here.
I mean, it's got anti-vehicle, anti-monster. Those help, but they're not actually really helping a Distraction Carnifex.
I think it just fails on the offensive front here, and I don't know if I want to give it extra credit point.
Yeah, it just doesn't really have the same oomph. Yeah, I think gonna pass on giving the extra credit for this one.
All right, let's move on to Orcs' opposite with the Tau.
All right, so Tau has submitted the Ghost Keel battlesuit. So this is 150 points, 10 for their weapon upgrade. So 160 points, 10 movement, 8 toughness, 2-up save, 12 wounds.
Importantly, it also has Stealth Infiltrator Lone Op.
Yeah.
And the stealth drone ability, which is really good defensively.
Right. The drones just basically like take the damage instead of the ghost kill. So honestly, pretty good defensively overall.
Yeah, I think Infiltrator is doing a lot here too, because it means you can just start being the distraction Carnifex. Like, you don't have to worry about the distraction Carnifex walking up the board. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, that actually, we haven't really talked about it too much because I think everything that we've looked at has been fairly quick, or at least quick enough that it's not too much of a problem. But like, you're not going to be much of a distraction Carnifex if you're stuck back in the deployment zone.
Yeah, if it takes you 2 to 3 turns to get to midboard to distract, you're not very helpful.
So yeah, that definitely helps out here. I mean, okay, melee.
It's Tau.
It's Tau. It's actually terrible. But the ranged weaponry, ooh.
And importantly, it also has the ability to fall back and shoot. So that's sort of making up for no melee.
Technically, you could go with like the default loadout, but you're basically always going to take the upgraded weapons. So you've got the Cyclic Ion Raker. It's got the standard and it's got overcharge. And 6 attacks, 4 up, strength 7, AP -1, damage 2. Or overcharged is strength 8, -2 AP, 3 damage. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and again, ballistic skill 4. Bit of a lie with Tau. We know that.
Yeah, it's not actually. So I guess then is like, how threatening does it feel?
It's there. It's a sweet model. It's on the larger end of what we have looked at so far.
And in the lineup of Tau, Ghost Kill definitely does look scarier than a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, it's like the second biggest non-meme. I think it passes. I don't think it's crazy cool, but I think it passes. The no melee is points off.
Yeah.
It's Tau, so it's less important. I get that. And the fallback helps mitigate what would be a very damning downside to only being minor.
I still feel like it's not doing amazing. And part of that is just because like the distraction Carnifex is not really Tau in like idea, as it were. You just want to shoot them instead of having them focus on charging the ghost heal or whatever.
So let's real quick, what do we want to grade this as before we get into our second option here, and we'll see which one grades higher.
Like, it's still high up there because the ranged weaponry is pretty good and defensively it's solid. I was thinking maybe like an A-.
I honestly expected you to go lower. All right, we'll say A-.
I feel like just all together it does that job pretty well. I don't know if you actually want it to do that job, but I think it does decently as a distraction Carnifex if that's what you're looking for. The Twin Lance though, this is a cool looking model.
So this one is a little awkward to talk about here because in 11th, it just went to 205 points. For good reason, it's great.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy at its, 185 or something like that.
Yeah, even post nerf that it received right away.
Yeah, 205, we'll see. It's a new edition, so points are a little weird just in general. But like, so 205 is technically over, but not enough to be like, oh, it's garbage.
So defensively, it's okay, but it suffers from low toughness.
Yeah, T6. It's got a 2-up save with a 4-up invuln and 8 wounds.
Yeah, which is 16 wounds.
Because it's 2 models, yes.
If it wasn't for the low toughness, I would have almost nothing negative we could say here. Other than we should point out this is a epic hero. We haven't really discussed this because none of the main submissions have been characters yet, but characters have a minor downside as a distraction Carnifex.
In gameplay, there are sometimes benefits for your opponent to kill characters.
Yes. So this giving up assassination points and the double whammy of it's an epic hero, so it's also not like something spammable if you wanted 2 distraction Carnifex squads. Those work against it a bit.
It's like a noticeable downside. We could bring up like monsters and vehicles also have whatever, but that's less of a thing.
It's already assumed with the position. The A+ already has that weakness, so you can't say it's a downside.
So like the Twin Lance is a vehicle and a character. Shit. But it's not like an immediate fail.
I will say that if it wasn't for those, this could be A territory, except for the points probably knock it back to A- anyway, but that probably knocks it to an A- for me because it went over the 200 line. And then we've got the issue of the toughness is a bit low. It's an epic hero.
It's got pretty decent ranged weapons. They're like split up on the different character models, but like altogether, it's got pretty decent ranged weaponry. It's short range. Actually has melee. I'm not gonna say it's great, but like.
But for Tau, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic for Tau. That does lead to some amount of like focus from the enemy of like, oh hey, that's a melee Gundam walking up, right?
And I have to say, these two psychology-wise are 10 out of 10. Like, they pass the test with flying colors. They've got all of it there.
Yeah, it's just a little weak at defensively, and like you said, it is 205 points. So
I think it would land somewhere in the Bs, but we don't really have to guess where because you did let the Ghost Keel through with an A-, so I'm just going to say this one is good enough for extra credit. So Ghost Keel is our submission. We got extra credit points. We're happy. Let's move into Leagues of Votann. This one's a little bit rougher. They have a missing part of their range still, which would be your walker unit, your vehicle that goes smash. We're missing our dwarf in a mech with a giant drill.
yeah, we've got the Ironkin Steeljacks, but those are like Terminator.
Yeah, they're more Unity. They fall in an awkward spot for this one. I don't think they can count.
Even the tank, too big, too expensive, whatever. But we got
The Propitious Defenders. These come in ones or twos, and at 2, they're 130 points. This is on the low end even for 2, so we can be a little forgiving on stats here. But toughness 7, save of a 4-up, 7 wounds.
it is 2 models, so like the 7 wound T7 is pretty solid. 4-up save is really bad.
It's a yikes.
And like they don't have an ability that fixes that either.
No, but their ability does help with the movement thing. These are on the high end of movement. They've got a 12-inch move, and their opportunistic maneuver ability helps even further, and their scout ability, bonus points there. However, ranged-wise, they're a decent threat. Melee-wise, they are a 0 threat.
Yeah, they're just armored hull, default, whatever.
I can't say they're failing or anything, but they're not doing great.
They're really not doing great. The save is kind of killing it. I get why it is a 4-up save. You can see the pilot. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, no invul, no feel no pain to make up for it, low on toughness, but the 4-up save in addition and no melee, it's rough.
I have no real fear or like intimidation factor from this.
No, it's a buggy.
I like the model, really cool model, but like not for a distraction Carnifex. I'm sorry. I think this gets a pretty low grade actually.
I think it does as well, sadly.
I'm trying to figure out a way to not give it a D. If I'm being honest.
Look, they're new. I'll bump them up to, let's just say, a C-, barely scraping through. You gotta work on this. You gotta go home, find where your dwarves with mechs with giant drills are. You have some in the closet at home.
There's definitely a lot of potential there. So we're going to be nice on this episode very clearly. Let's take a look at Necrons. I think we don't have to necessarily be nice here.
Necrons is a strange one. We have a couple options, and we were arguing which one we think is best. And extra credit-wise, there was probably more we could have chosen that would have at least gotten on the board, but we kept it to our top 2 here. So first we have the Canoptic Spiders. These, for 110 points, you get 2. Toughness 7, save of 3, 6 wounds each. So 12 total wounds to work with. It is on the low end.
But like, it still has a 3-up save.
And at 110, this is not bad. The thing they have in their favor, they are a vehicle, and friendly Necron vehicles within 6 have a 6-up feel no pain because of their war gear.
That's definitely helping out defensively.
It saves them, in my opinion. We're okay on defense. Toughness is a little lower than we'd like, but we'll take it. They do have a problem. Their move characteristic is 5.
That is a problem.
Normally, I would say, well, they've got fly, and fly can help a lot now in 11th, but there's a problem. Minus 2-inch from this move basically just means that they can go over a wall for the turn using their fly.
It's not going anywhere fast.
No, it means it won't ever get stuck, but you're going to have to advance in order to even like get somewhere with it. This one is the first one that's getting some points knocked off for movement. Other than that though, the particle beamer is a weird one. You've got 2d6 attacks at 601, which sounds awful, but they have devastating wounds and blast. So as far as clearing stuff goes, they are still a threat.
Yeah, the random attacks, it's tough to call because, like, psychologically, it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about it, or it's, oh, that's terrifying. You're going to be in one of those headscapes, most likely.
It's okay. It's enough to get us there. Melee weapon-wise, because we've got 2 of these in our cheap unit, they each get 5 attacks. Weapon skill 4 is a little rough, but at 8 minus 2/2. This is also defensible.
Yeah.
I think it is not an A, but I think it's a fine passing grade somewhere.
The fact that it is 110 points means that you really haven't committed too much to this. The opponent's almost certainly going to be committing more resources to dealing with this. The only real question is if the Canoptic Spiders actually make the opponent deal with it.
Yes. I think having access to essentially 4 particle beamers, so you get 4d6 shots, it's enough that, like, if your opponent is a chaff army, then they for sure are going to be very annoyed with you.
If blast matters, the spiders are terrifying.
Yeah, that can get real annoying real quick. And then when you get into melee combat, they are obnoxious. It's got some issues. Let me say, what do you think it is?
I mean, I'm kind of on the B territory.
I was like, am I being too kind with B-? But I feel like B- is exactly where we both ended up. We're feeling generous today.
We're feeling generous. The Feel No Pain is doing a lot of work here, I feel like, because that 5-inch movement is a problem.
So let's talk about our second option here and see if it gets beyond this.
Okay.
Our second option for 110 points is the Triarch Stalker. So the Triarch Stalker already has one of the problems solved. For the same point cost as 2 spiders, we get an 8-inch move and Scout 8. This is also one of the weird models where it's got a very strange layout and it does not use a base.
Yeah, but it fits for Necrons. It looks cool.
It looks great. I love mine.
Scout 8 is actually going to help quite a bit by being a distraction. It's going to be easy to lead the charge and be like, oh, focus on the thing that's closest, as it were. And solid 8 movement. Okay, we're there.
Defensively, toughness 8, a 3-up save and a 4-up invuln, and 12 wounds for 110 points. For on the cheap end, that's real good. Offensively, ranged, you pick one of 3 weapons. None of them are all-stars. I think I'm going to say Heat Ray is what we'll say is the default here.
Probably.
Because it gives us the 2 modes. We get the Flamer mode with the Torrent 2d6 shots at 5 minus 1/1, or we get the focused mode where it's a melt of 4, 2 attacks, 9 minus 4d6. It is a decent threat.
Yeah, I guess because you get that choice, depending on what the opponent is going to commit towards dealing with this Triarch Stalker. Yeah, you get to switch it up.
And it means your anti-tank. Also, when they go to charge you, you can do your Overwatch with your Flamers. It's not the greatest Overwatch, but it is a solid Overwatch.
Yeah, I feel like none of the ranged weapons are amazing, but all the options have something, and like the Heat Ray has the switch. That's probably your default, and it's pretty good. The melee, 4 attacks, 3 up, 7 strength, minus 1, flat 3 damage.
It's okay. It's not the best we've seen, but it's very far from the worst. It is a serviceable vehicle profile.
Yeah, I mean, strength 7, flat 3 damage is perfectly serviceable.
So obviously either of these could get an extra credit point, but does this pass the spiders B-?
I think just like looking at the model, I feel more intimidated by the Triarch Stalker.
I think so too, and I think for the same point cost, defensively, it feels a lot better.
Yeah.
The 4-up invuln is crazy. It doesn't have the movement flaw, which was a big negative. It's not as killy in melee. I actually feel like its range threat forcing it to be taken seriously helps more.
That's true.
Especially because like we didn't even bring up like it can go for the particle shredder, which is much more in line with what you're doing with the 2 spiders. And then the heavy gauze cannon is also a solid option at 6 flat attacks of 8 minus 2/2. If you don't want to go for anything fancy, you just want to deal with this. This will force your opponent to deal with it, and that's the point of a distraction Carnifex. It doesn't have to be the killiest in combat, just threatening enough that you can't just tag it with some dudes and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is better than a B-. Is it a B+?
I guess I'm starting from the top and working my way down. What does it get points off for?
Melee is pretty weak.
The melee's on the weaker end.
The ranged is fine.
On the middle, the range is only mid. So offensively, it's weaker than we'd like in both categories.
Defensively, on par, slightly higher, maybe, just because it's only 110 points.
Yeah, I want to say it's at least an A minus.
Yeah?
I have very little to complain about. The psychology aspect alone makes it feel great. It's a great model for a Distraction Carnifex. When you put it next to, like, when we get to them dreads or other stuff, it is a bigger model.
It does draw your attention. All right, I'm fine with an A minus. I was thinking B plus, but we're being generous, so an A minus.
Okay. I really like the Triarch Stalker, and that's why I wanted to sales pitch it as the actual pick. Spiders, you are still good enough. You can be an extra credit point.
Which moves us into Drukhari, and they have submissions.
I straight up like the submission.
Do you? Okay.
We're going to start with my main submission, which is the Talos. We get a pair of them for 150 points. They have only toughness 7, but they have a 3-up save, a 6-up invulnerable save, and a 5-up feel no pain. 7 wounds each, so 14 total wounds.
The saves are kind of bad, but the feel no pain 5-up is really good in addition to that save.
They are an inch worse than I would like on the move for this at only 7, but it is fly, so they get the little bit of extra there. And it has a very Distraction Carnifex-esque mindless killing machines ability. I feel like that works well as a Distraction Carnifex ability.
Yeah, I mean, just having chances for fight on death is like something to keep in mind. But what's it got offensively to make them actually take this seriously?
There's a couple options for ranged weapons here. Let's go with it having the Twin Heat Lance as its main weapon here for Twin Linked Melta 3 Assault, because we're going to want to advance with the 7-inch move anyway.
Yeah, I mean, 7 is not terrible, but like, yeah, advance is almost certainly something that you're going to want to do.
At least turn 1. But it's got other options too. But anyway, this is 1 attack, strength 14, AP -4, D6 damage. And of course, there's 2 of these guys, so 2 of them.
I mean, that is scary.
We also have, depending on your loadout, the ability to have your liquefier gun arm, which is a decent infantry destroyer at anti-infantry 3-up on a D6 auto-hitting weapon that also has twin linked.
Okay.
It's okay at taking care of infantry with 2 of these things.
Yeah, I mean, that's decent loadouts to pick and choose as necessary kind of thing. Because, like, it's not, like, part of the grade, but when you're putting a list together, it is good to, like, think about what the different units can do, like, in the rest of the army. If you don't actually need a Distraction Carnifex at the moment, what good is it gonna do? And so, like, maybe you want something to deal with infantry, so you choose that as the default or whatever. So, like, having options is quite nice. Melee,
we have all sorts of options. So if we don't want to go with the liquefier, we could do basically any of them and a Ichor Injector for the extra attacks here.
yeah, you've got different options. Like, some have more attack, but in general, they're all pretty solid.
If we're trying for the scariest thing, that might not be the smartest choice, but at least it's the scariest choice. The Talos Gauntlet is the inaccurate one as its downside of being weapon skill 4-up, but it's 5 attacks at 9 -2/3, which is on the high end of what we've been talking about. And there's 2 of these because, again, this is each Talos has one. It is at least in line with where we are on Tyranids and on the other higher melee ones.
All right. I mean, this is pretty good. And I'll be honest, the model is kind of terrifying.
They are not the largest, but they are so creepy, it helps the psychology, man.
Yeah. And like in Drukhari, you're not generally looking at just like, you know, the muscle beach.
Stop trying to hurt me by reminding me that I have no grotesque to back this up anymore.
Yeah, there isn't really anything I can say is bad about the Talos other than the move is a bit slow.
So then we've got, for some bonus points here, the Kronos. This is the lowest option we've seen so far at 100 points for 2. Same defensive profile, same moving profile, all the same on that front. The downside here is it's more of almost a support piece for the rest of your army. It's meant to be in the fray with other stuff. But range weapon wise, the Spirit Siphon and the Spirit Vortex are meh. They're okay for infantry. They're not doing much to threaten though.
Every weapon that the Kronos has is 1 damage.
Yep. And they are strength 5 the whole way through.
Yeah, -1 AP. So like offensively, not amazing. The melee weapons, you get 6 attacks, 3-up. I guess anti-infantry 2-up is nice. But like Kronos is definitely not scary.
Yeah. But again, a pair of them can mulch stuff in melee. If it's like a guard level, Eldar level defensive
Yeah.
profile, just gonzo. 1 wound models get eaten by this. They're probably good enough for the extra credit point, but they would fall far below the Talos.
They're definitely way below the Talos. I feel like they're just barely good enough for the extra credit.
Just not having enough threat.
100 points is on the lower end of a Distraction Carnifex.
Almost to the point where it loses even being in the running.
Kind of. It doesn't do enough to threaten, and it's not enough for your opponent to take seriously. And the Kronos is kind of there, but I'll give it the extra credit.
All right, so then refocusing on the Talos, what do we want for the final grade?
I mean, I've got nothing against it, so I see no reason to not give it an A+.
I was hoping for the same. We finally got a really good Drukhari submission here. We just needed to not look at Space Marines for once.
Let's take a look at the Aeldari, though.
All right, the opposite end of the pointy ears. The obvious one to talk about here is the Wraith Lord.
125 points, 8-inch move, 10 toughness, 2-up save, 10 wounds. It's got a 2-up save and it's got 10 wounds. 10 toughness is pretty solid too.
Yeah, it's on the higher end defensively. Like, this is above Screamer Killer, who is essentially the exact same point cost for what I consider to be less.
Yeah, it's not the most fancy. It doesn't have like extra, oh, feel no pain and oh, this and that. It's just solid defensive stat. From a ranged weapon option, it does have a bunch of choices. I think the Bright Lance is scary from a like psychological aspect because it's strength 12, AP -3, D6 +2 damage, but it's only one attack.
It falls in line with the Twin Heat Lance for the Talos. Very similar. This is your big boom, but don't miss. This one is even worse because there's only one guy, so there's only one of these. It's not like the Talos where it's like, well, at least it's 2 shots for the unit.
Right?
If you want, there are safer options you can go with, but the Bright Lance is probably the one that we should focus on.
It's the most intimidating one. It does have pretty decent melee.
Yes, the Ghost Glaive in normal strike mode, 4 attacks, the weapon skill 4 up, a little bit rough, but this is a thing with constructs in this game. They basically always end up with 4 ups. Strength 10, AP -3, D6 +1 damage. That slaps. And then if you need it, sweep mode's there for 8 attacks, 7 -2/2.
It's just pretty solid. Like the 4-up weapon skill is disappointing.
But you get a lot of attacks, like to the point where it feels like they just kind of went, well, it's got a 4, let's give it a couple extra attacks than we normally would.
It does kind of feel like they balanced that out by giving it enough attacks that it doesn't feel too bad. So in general, I think it's scary enough offensively from ranged and melee that, yeah, you kind of have to deal with it.
And again, we're ignoring the psychic guidance stuff because this is in Distraction Carnifex mode. It is worth noting though that like Fated Hero, as long as you're looking at your opponent's list, a lot of times you get your rerolls.
You get to reroll a hit and wound of 1 if you choose the right keyword. Even if you choose a keyword that like your opponent doesn't send that unit at you, they had to think about it. And that's like a threat on its own, which is annoying. Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of lining up as being just like a perfect Distraction Carnifex.
No reason not to do A+. It's a little derpy looking by modern standards, but A+, I'm not judging you for having an ancient sculpt.
Yeah, it is a little derpy looking, but
It sure is.
it's not the Warwalkers at least.
Oh, speaking of derpy, we've got our extra credit attempt. It's not the worst we've seen. It'll probably get there, but toughness 7, 3-up save, 5-up invuln, 6 wounds a pop. We get a pair of them for 170 points, so 12 wounds. It's not the best defensively, but it's got the Scout 9 move 10.
It's got no melee.
No melee is a big downside.
Technically it has melee, but like it doesn't have melee.
Yeah, but it can be extremely threatening for a unit of 2 of these from a shooting standpoint.
Yeah, especially because like it's got an ability that like helps other things shoot as well.
Honestly, this is Eldar's equivalent of the Achilles Ridge Runner.
Yeah, they're not really Distraction Carnifexes. They're scout units that are rapid response, deal with problems.
They have enough defensive profile and enough threat that they're at least extra credit worthy, even if they're definitely not the pick.
Yeah,
Good enough.
good enough, which leads us into Chaos.
Chaos is going to be an interesting one. We're about to speed up a lot because once we talk about something, it's going to come back.
Right, because the Chaos factions have a lot of overlapping models.
Everyone submits the Mauler Fiend. It's an A.
Yeah, great. Woo! So
that said, we tried to pick the thing that most fit each of the different flavors of chaos. So let's start off with World Eaters, Eric. What do we got for our main attraction?
you got the Demon Prince of Khorne with wings. 170 points. Can move 14 inches. Toughness 9. 2-up save with a 4-up invuln. 10 wounds.
Yeah, this is solid, baby. 170 for this feels good because that's a lot of movement on what is already a good body. The one downside on this model, the Infernal Cannon is not very threatening at range, but our huge movement means we can just be a problem.
Yeah, 3 attacks, hitting on 3-up, 5 strength, -1, 2 damage. Like, it technically exists, but it's not threatening. The extra movement is concerning because it's melee weapons. The Hellforged weapons are pretty good.
Here you like 16 attacks hitting on 2s, 6-1-1.
Or 8 attacks hitting on 2s, 8, -2, 3. That's pretty good. It does also have an ability.
2 of them. Bloody Terror is actually nothing either because the 14-inch move with the new way we're doing fly and everything else, it's very likely to trigger Swooping Predator multiple times. So you're going to probably get a decent amount of mortal wounds just from your movement shenanigans while being an annoyance and then charge in and do tons of damage in melee.
Yeah, the Demon Prince of Khorne with wings is definitely intimidating, so you're going to be focused on it. My only concern is like, is it just too good and more of a core part to your entire army list than it is a distraction?
We can't do that in Chaos. Too many of these factions have 5 data sheets. You can't do that.
You know what I'm saying though? Like, the Demon Prince of Khorne with wings is a great distraction Carnifex. I don't see any problem with giving it an A+ or whatever.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that like, this is just a core part of your army. You're not distracting with it. You're just killing the opponent with it.
Sure. You are doing World Eater stuff the whole way through. There's very little distraction going on in World Eaters in general. They don't really use distraction Carnifexes. It follows the requirement, but at the same time, they're not being tactical. They're charging up and unga-bunging into combat as fast as humanly possible.
Right? So like, it feels weird to give it such a good grade when it's clearly not being used as intended, but like, that's the assignment. So,
and to save us a lot of repeating stuff later, we're giving extra credit to the Hellbrute and the Mauler Fiend. Give them their check marks. We don't need to discuss them.
yeah, they just kind of like do all the spots.
See you guys in a bit. All right, Thousand Suns. We have an actual unique model that's not just part of the generic Chaos range.
Hell yeah.
Mutalith Vortex Beast, also 170 points. 10 move, 10 wounds, only a 4-up save, but with a 5-up invuln and a 5-up feel no pain. 13 total wounds. Pretty good defensively. It kind of has to be because 170 is the high end point wise here.
It's got an interesting ranged weapon though.
The Warp Vortex, the thing that was bad for additions but always fun, now actually pretty decent because it's just a 3-mode weapon.
Yeah, it's got the torrent, blast, or beam options, and they all do exactly what you want for the different times that you would want those different options, essentially. One of them does a bunch of damage at strength 18, but don't miss because you get 1 attack.
This is your CP reroll target right here.
Yeah.
At 18 -3, D6 + 6, you want to make sure this thing hits, and it's got dev wounds. So if you hit the 6 on the wound roll, goodbye to your target.
Very few rolls in the game are as like strong as being able to reroll a charge. This is potentially one of them. Very threatening overall. Melee side though, also kind of scary.
So we basically have either 15 attacks at 701 or 5 attacks at 10 -2, 3. It passes perfectly by my count. That's pretty good options.
Honestly, like, it's pretty solid melee. It's not the most exciting, but like, that does the job altogether. I think it's just an A+.
Yeah, there's no reason to take points off for this thing. It is a beautiful submission and a beautiful model.
And like, it is a beautifully weird model. So like, it's got the psychological, oh, that's the target. Like, it's even got like a target board on it. Come on.
God damn it. Now that you've said that, I'm going to think about that.
Oh yeah, I got him.
Shoot the target.
Brilio, edit that in.
All right, 4,000 Suns. They're also going to submit Hellbrute, Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings. Good enough. We can move on.
Yeah, to the Emperor's Children, who have a unique model.
Yeah, the very large range. Oh. There's a lot of options.
So the Mauler Fiend, 130 points, 10-inch move, 10 toughness, 3-up save, 5-up invuln, 12 wounds.
It is a perfectly solid distraction Carnifex defensively. That's about what we're looking for.
It has a Melta ranged weapon, 6 inches.
The itty bitty plasma cutters.
Technically, it has range. Melee, though. The Mauler Fists, 6 attacks, 3-up, 14 strength, -2 AP, d6 +1 damage. Also has extra attacks from Lashing Tendrils, 6 attacks, 3-up, 7 strength, -1, 1 damage.
It's a lot in melee. And importantly, like, it hits on 3s, but if it does not have full wounds, it gets +1 to hit. If it's below half, it gets +1 to wound, and then it takes a -1 to hit right before it dies. But the thing is very devastating in melee.
It has 10-inch move.
And it's EC, so you've got your advance in charge. You can do fallback in charge.
So, like, the threat range is pretty decent. It is a noticeable model.
It wins psychology-wise. This is better than the Carnifex. This is better than what Orks is submitting. Like, this wins psychology-wise. You are doing great.
How much do we take off for having no ranged? That's the real question, right? Everything else, great.
Because of the fact that it's EC, like with Orks, I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, but like it is still a downside.
It's a downside, but your melee is your focus, and your melee is disgustingly good here, for the point cost at least. I have trouble taking points off this, partly because I love Princess. Such a cute little pit bull.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
I love the Mauler Fiend, guys. It's hard not to give it an A+ every time I see it.
It's definitely not an A+.
It's probably still A. I don't know if I can bring it down to A- just for the ranged weapon issue, just because it's ECs. In other factions, that's why it's not the pick.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's probably an A-, if I'm going to be honest.
All right, A- then. I will let you dumpster EC all you want as the EC guy.
It's disappointing, but it is just one of those, like, not having ranged is a noticeable downside.
All right, now elephant in the room time. Demon Prince of Slaanesh with wings. Here's the problem. Even in 11th edition, it's over 200 points.
Just barely.
Just barely, but it's enough that it was something that we were thinking about. And then we were looking at it and we're like, it has the other problem of, like we were trying to hint at when we were talking about it in Khorne, is this just part of your faction's core concept and not being used as a distraction Carnifex? And with EC, yeah, this is the first 1, 2, and 3rd model you're putting in your list. It's so good at everything. It has a crazy defensive profile. It does tons of mortals. It does crazy good in melee.
I feel like it still gets the extra credit, but like just barely, and mostly because just being nice and just being like, it will round down the 5 points and you can have it.
It's one of the, like, as a submission, it's probably just fine. As extra credit, it's an easy win, but like, that's why it wasn't the pick. There's too many like awkward, is this even a distraction Carnifex anymore?
No, it isn't, but also it does a great job of it somehow. Let's take a look at Death Guard though, and a reminder that we're not looking for anvils.
We're not doing several things that we could do in Death Guard. Plenty of anvils in this army. We're not going to look at like great unclean ones and all that for Nurgle. Way too expensive.
Too much commitment for your list to be a distraction.
All right, so for Death Guard, our primary pick here was the Fetid Bloat Drone with Heavy Blight Launcher. There was the option of going with the Flesh Mower, but we talked about it, and I think this one just wins out for making you deal with it. It is much better as a distraction. So 10-inch move. Defensively, we've got 9 toughness, a 3-up save, 5-up invuln, 10 wounds, everything else going on with our army rules and all that.
125 points.
Yeah, so it's on the lower end, but it's not the type where you're taking 2 of them.
Pretty solid defensively, but that isn't really where I was concerned for Death Guard. Let's try and figure out if it's actually something that needs to be dealt with though.
Okay, so it has an ability that's spreading the afflicted stuff, which is part of Death Guard's whole shtick. This is like little bonus on top of the weapon, which is the Heavy Blight Launcher. Blast, lethal hits, D6 plus 2 attacks, hitting on 3-ups of 10 minus 2, 3. Ranged weapon wise, this is a huge checkmark. This is on the high end.
Yeah, pretty scary ranged weapon. The melee side is definitely weak here.
Yes, this is very much one where you are putting it there specifically to get hit in melee and die. It's not something that's going to be doing much in the line line of still slapping in melee after it gets tagged. It has a dedicated melee profile. It's not just like armored hull, but it's not great either. So it's lethal hits, 3 attacks of 6-1-1. It's enough.
It does the job. They need to like actually commit something.
The big loss is the fact that the main ranged weapon is blast.
Yeah.
So getting tagged does just turn off your threat.
But blast is actually kind of useful in certain scenarios. It can be extremely useful.
And it's got the other bonus of like, it's a distraction Carnifex. It does everything to distract. And once it's in melee, like, yeah, we want it to ideally not be able to get tagged by the weakest thing on earth and get hung up all day. It gets past the line for me only just barely, partly because of Death Guard's army rule helping it out in melee stuff.
It is defensive enough that not too worried about like immediately crumpling.
Yeah.
And it is on the lower side of points. I think the Fetid Blow Drone is just kind of like perfect.
I think psychology wise, it just passes.
It's a cool model, but it's not like the most terrifying thing to see on the board. But I do think it gets there. I think it's an A+.
Yeah, easy A+ for Death Guard here. They do get 2 extra credits. This is the Fetid Bloat Drone with Flesh Mower and the Mephitic Blight Hauler. Both are more than good enough to check the box and move on. The Fetid Bloat Drone with Flesh Mower, much more threatening in melee, but because its range is just like the generic Plague Spitter, I don't think it's enough to make your opponent deal with it compared to the Blight Launcher variant, so that's why it wasn't the pick over it.
But it's still like pretty good at the job.
Yeah, and it's better at the tussling after getting tagged.
Whereas the Mephitic Blight Hauler,
it's very cheap at 100 points, or 200 gets you 2 of them, and it passes on all the profiles we check. Like defensively, it's great. Ranged wise, it can threaten well. It's right down there with the Fetid Bloat Drone for the melee weapons. It's not great,
but it's enough that works for an extra credit, which does lead us into Chaos Space Marines.
Which was an interesting one. We were going to just meme and do all of the generic stuff that everyone else had stolen, but let's talk about 2 that only they get.
All right, which one do we start with first?
The obvious pick. Minor downside here, this is a character, but we have the Lord Discordant on Hellstalker. Newly buffed later in the 10th edition to be quite the beast. So it's got a 14-inch move. Defensively, we're looking at 9 toughness, 2 up, 4 up for save and invuln, 10 wounds. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's like pretty solid. 160 points.
Ability wise, nothing really is helping it out here as a distraction Carnifex. Dark Packs does mean that it's even more scary when we talk about the offense than you think it is. But for its profiles, we have the ability to just start with the autocannon as our main weapon if we're just going with like our long range obvious option to make someone pay attention to us.
Yeah, I mean, 48-inch range, 3 attacks on 2 ups, strength 9, -1, 3 damage is definitely a solid default of, hey, look.
It's hard not to pay attention to armigers.
True.
But you've got your other options too with your Bioflamer or your Magma Cutter. Nice accent pieces, whatever you choose there. Technically, we have a pistol.
Sure.
Melee wise, our main weapon here, the Impaler Chainglaive, has Lance, as if we needed more for this, 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 8, AP -3, damage 3. That is a solid beginning. Fortunately, there's even more. We have 2 extra attack weapons. The first one, a single attack from the Technovirus Injector of strength 3, AP -3, damage 2. It's got anti-vehicle 2 up though, making it basically strength a lot. And then we have our Bladed Limbs for the mounts attacks, which are also extra attacks. 4 of them at 6-1-2.
I mean, the ranged weapons are perfectly serviceable. They do the job, being a threat, being kind of annoying. The melee is terrifying though.
Yes. And we do, again, the 14-inch move means you can do a lot of the forcing your opponent to pay attention. If I had one downside for it, it's the fact that its abilities tend to be so vehicle focused. One is like an offensive vehicle focused one, and the other one is like supporting yours. He'll tend to be working in tandem with stuff because of those. It's like a minor issue of his abilities feel a little wasted if we're just distraction Carnifexing.
I agree, but I don't think that's a problem in any way. The model itself is definitely checking the box on being intimidating.
Yes. Everyone thinks the Hellstalker is very cute. No one thinks it's creepy at all.
So like the only like potential is like, oh, I guess the ranged is a little weak weaker. But like, I don't know. I think the Lord Disco gets a perfect grade for me.
Yeah, have no reason to take points off of it either. And for extra credit, the Venom Crawler, it's on the low end, but it's on the low end point wise. Its real problem is it doesn't offer much offensively threat wise.
Because it's like 110 points, 12-inch move, 9 toughness, 3 up save with a 5 up invuln, 9 wounds. Ranged weapon is 6 attacks on 3 up, 6 strength, -1, 2 damage. And then the melee has 6 attacks on 3 ups, 6 strength, -1, and 2 damage. So not amazing.
Yeah, it's like enough that it exists, but it's not enough to say, hey, pay attention to me, hey, deal with me. You kind of have to go out of your way to be the problem.
Yeah.
It's enough to get extra credit. And again, we're ignoring like all the other stuff. Like you can give one more extra credit just because we have the Mauler Fiend, we have the Hellbrute, we have Demon Princes. It's got them all. You can have your 2 extra credit points like everyone else has been getting who has access. Done and done.
Which leads us into Chaos Knights.
Speaking of a solid entry and 2 extra credits, Chaos Knights, are you going to submit something other than the War Dogs?
No.
Good, because that's the correct option for once.
I was like, I really hope they didn't.
Finally, an A+ for a War Dog. Let's just use the Stalker as our main entry here. We have plenty of options. The Stalker's got movement 12, toughness 9, a 3 up, 5 up, 14 total wounds for 140 points. Ranged weapon wise, it can either have its Melta weapon or its chain cannon. So either 2 shots at 12 -4d6, definitely says pay attention to me, or 12 attacks at 6 -1/1 if we would just want to mulch something. Then in melee, we've got access to either the claw or the chainsword. Both are solid here. Like the claw is the bigger one at 12 strength and then the d6 +2 damage, but the chainsword gets the sweep mode for when you want those 8 attacks. No wrong answers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would kind of depend on what your loadout for the ranged weapon is. Do you want to like go all in on chaff clearing or like whatever? Either way, whatever weapon loadouts you decide, the Stalker just gets there. The War Dog is great. A+. It's noticeable. It's scary. It's a distraction. The only potential is like the same thing that we brought up with the Demon Prince of like, this is your primary goal. You're not really a distraction, but also you fit that role perfectly. So
yeah, it's hard to be a distraction for a full night.
Yeah. That's true.
Something else is more distracting, but it feels wrong stat-wise to try to grade a knight on this episode. So we're still going to say, for what we're looking for, it did everything right. A+. Well done, War Dogs. Pick 2 more of your favorites. Let's go Carnivore, Huntsman. We haven't seen them in a while. Bam, 2 more extra credits. Just the best day ever for Chaos Knights. They came to class. It was the one time the broken clock was right.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of fits all of our criteria perfectly. So both extra credit, I'm good with it.
Well done.
Which leaves us with Demons.
Demons had a shockingly good entry. I hadn't even put it in the list because of my personal hatred for the model.
Yeah, the Soul Grinder is still a thing.
Unfortunately.
180 points for 8-inch move, toughness 11, 3 up save, 4 up invuln with 14 wounds. And just like options that you get to choose with, I don't think any of them are particularly wrong. Because like you get to choose your demonic allegiance. I know that you were talking about Zeech being pretty awesome with the warp gaze.
Yeah, the warp gaze being just an extra ranged attack that's like very threatening means it's one that we use it a lot in Mono Zeech list, although I do not use the official Soul Grinder model. I have 3D printed ones that are much better looking.
True. The default like Harvester Cannon is still 3 attacks on 3 ups with strength 10, -1 AP, and 3 damage.
Yeah, it's fine. And then like no matter who you choose for the patron god, they all add a relevant second weapon. I do think Khorne gets by far the worst one, but hey, a 2d6 flamer's fine.
And melee side, it does have melee. It very much does. The Iron Claw is 5 attacks, strength 16, -3 AP, and d6 +2 damage.
I feel like you didn't put enough stress on strength 16.
Yeah.
It will wound you.
And 5 attacks. This isn't just like one attack, try and fail, and then try again with your reroll and fail again.
And then for our little sidearm, we either get the claw or the sword.
Little sidearm.
Yeah, the little sidearm is strength 8, AP -1 damage 2, or strength 8, AP -2 damage d6, with the claw getting 6 attacks instead of 3 because it's got the worst AP and damage. It really doesn't matter what you pick, they're fine.
Still like solid melee profiles, especially as an extra attack. The Soul Grinder, from a model on the board psychology aspect, I think it gets to the distraction, whether that's because you're like, wow, look at that, or it's, wow, look at that piece of shit.
It has one major issue. 8-inch move, 160 mil base has to be talked about here. Like,
All right, yeah.
it's a problem. We have Scuttling Walker to try to help.
It's got the ability to kind of like move through terrain, but yes. 8-inch move is not far.
Not far on a 160 mil base. There is a lot of terrain where you can barely move past the wall that is directly in front of you for your turn.
Yeah.
If there's enough room on the other side of that wall for you to fit your 160 millimeter base. For those who think they have seen the largest base in 40k, unless you own like a Krondis in AOS, you have not seen this base.
It's pretty crazy. It is a downside because like you have to be able to get in a position to be noticeable, to be a distraction. And like 8-inch movement wouldn't normally be a problem. Would be like, it's maybe a little slow, but like it's perfectly fine. But because it's such a large model,
it's still an A- at least. It's just, it lost points.
I was gonna say, I still think it's doing pretty good. I'm fine with an A-.
But Demons also has 2 attempts at extra credit. Both of them seem fine. The first one, Demon Prince, we've talked about this plenty of times. Ours is a little different, but it's the same deal. Good job. And the more spicy one, Eric brought up, it's got problems. I still think he's right. It passes enough for extra credit.
Yeah, we've got the Beast of Nurgle. So you can take 1 model for 70 or 2 for 140, I think is what it was. We're going with the 2 for 140. It's 6-inch movement, 9 toughness, 6 up save with a 5 up invuln, 7 wounds, and a disgustingly annoying ability.
Yeah, the 6-inch movement would normally be a downside, but the Scout 6 helps make up for it. It'll get to mid at least, and that's what we need out of this.
It'll get far enough, quick enough. It'll be in threat range from the opponent, not the ability to really threaten the opponent too much.
Yeah, we're not doing much threatening here with putrid appendages as our main weapon of 6 attacks each, 6 -1, 2. It's not working.
And no ranged attack.
Yeah, but it has a minor ability that might annoy Eric sometimes. I love this ability. More demons need stuff like this that is like absolutely game warping and weird. You ain't seen this problem before.
Grotesque regeneration. At the end of each phase, if a Beast of Nurgle model in this unit has lost any wounds but is not destroyed, that model regains all of its lost wounds. It is super annoying.
You must overcommit to kill this. If you kill the first beast and get the second beast down to 1 because you just committed a huge, like, stratagem buffed big blob with a leader and everything to take these out, well, you only killed 1 beast because at end of phase, it just goes right back.
Yeah, and the fact that it's each phase, these things are so annoying.
It's fantastic. I love the design of the Beast of Nurgle. I really didn't think of it for distraction Carnifex because it had no threat. But as Eric pointed out, you just shove them on mid and say, take mid from me, idiot.
Yeah, they do have 3 OC each. The Scout 6 is the reason that I think that they work.
It keeps them from not being qualified. And then Grotesque Regeneration being such an obnoxious, you must overcommit ability that also, when you've got 2 of them, punishes overcommitment as well, because unless you can really do it, you're only ever killing 1 per phase.
And like, if you're really gonna put that much into it all at once,
Distraction Carnifex did its job.
yeah. Job successfully completed, I guess. Like the Beast of Nurgle, I think they definitely get the extra credit just because it works.
It would not have gotten Soul Grinders A-, but it's definitely good enough to bring up for the extra credit.
Right, so that ends Chaos, which means Imperium. Man, this whole changing the order is really screwing with me.
Eric, we're 2.5 hours in this recording. We're still in the Imperium. Let's hurry up.
I know. Quick, let's talk about Grey Knights.
All right. So Grey Knights has a small issue. By far the best distraction Carnifex is 195 points plus 15 for the weapon you're going to choose. So it does technically go over the line, which is going to take points off.
Yeah, we've got the Nemesis Dread Knight.
It was never going to be anything else, guys. You could argue the base Dread, it's going to get extra credit, but like it's not good enough for the pick.
So at 195 plus 15 for the side cannon, we get 8-inch move, toughness 8, 2-up save with a 4-up invuln, 13 wounds. And then, yeah, the side cannon is ignore cover, 6 attacks on a 3-up, 10 strength, -2 AP, and 3 flat damage. You can also advance shoot and charge, which is like its ability.
It will get to mid and it will be a problem.
It actually has a great hammer. Shock.
Or the sword, which is also a very good pick.
Yeah, but like I could finally
You can have your hammer, so you picked the hammer. I get it. All right. Tell us the hammer.
5 attacks on 3-up. 14 strength, -3 AP, D6 +1. And yeah, the sword has its sweep and strike profiles, and those do perfectly good. And honestly, are probably the pick because it gets switch hit and whatever. But like hammer, 14 strength, yes, it's definitely threatening. The Nemesis Dread Knight is like a big part of our damage output if we're not doing like purifier silly things.
Or the new, now that we're in 11, the new Paladin thing looks very promising. Not that we played it yet, but
yeah, that is another option.
Can we argue to get it to the 195, taking the silencer and incinerator, just to not have to take points off you?
I feel like the incinerator actually has some fun to it.
It's solid. Again, anytime you can get a torrent weapon is very good.
Yeah.
I just feel like the silencer having 0 AP makes it feel miserable here.
The silencer is 0 AP and flat 1 damage. Yeah, there's 12 attacks and it's sustained 1, but like it actually goes okay with the great hammer. So like you could hopefully like clear a bunch of the chaff and then smack a big thing with the hammer, but like it's just a little weird. I think there is a defense for the incinerator, ignoring the rest of the wisp building and the fact that we don't have anti-tank other than, but yeah. So like the Nemesis Dread Knight hits a lot of the spots. It's just a bit too expensive. Honestly, it does the same thing as a bunch of the chaos stuff of when does it become a distraction Carnifex and when does it become this is game plan A. Like there's a decent chunk of time that Grey Knights have been just play as many Dread Knights as you can.
Eric, I'm going to let you take full responsibility for the grade you give yourself.
Oh, it's bullshit.
Whatever you say, I'm good.
That's bullshit.
I'm not gonna pressure. You have to be as honest as you want to be.
Fuck it, it's an A+. Take
All
it.
right. That's if you want to do it.
I think an A- is a reasonable defense if we go with 195 for the heavy incinerator.
Yeah, I think if I don't have to do points off, I think it's still a fine A-. The advance in charge is huge to make up for the lack of ranged, even if your movement's not huge to begin with, but like it helps a lot with making up for the fact that we're going for a build that doesn't have the side cannon on this just to make it a distraction Carnifex piece.
Yeah.
And we just squeak under the points there, so we can call it not taking any points off for that A-. I like it. And also, by the way, Grey Knights, the dread itself, will just let it be extra credit. Ding, it works.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm not going to argue too much because it probably shouldn't since it's also a character now, but
box dreads are so embarrassing. They could never score above an A- anyway. They have 0 psychological impact.
Yeah, they're actually kind of bad in general, but like, hey, I'll take it. We're moving into Imperial Nights.
All right, so Imperial Nights have an issue.
They don't have war dogs?
They don't have war dogs. The only armature I think works, even looking at both, the only one I think works as a distraction Carnifex is the Warglaive. It still gets its A+. It is perfect. It's just you don't get the free 2 extra credits that Chaos Knights got, and I can't argue anything for extra credit. You know what? No, I will give an extra credit for the other armature as well, because we did it before for things that don't have any good melee profile, as long as they checked every other box, and it still does. It's very scary in general for its point cost, like in any any normal faction. It's just it doesn't melee.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's probably fine.
Having 4 attacks with 601 in melee is not usually good enough, but we've done worse for the extra credit check mark elsewhere. 1 extra credit check for Imperial Nights, and you get your A+ because the Warglaive. Again, it's like every War Dog. They're great.
Yeah, let's take a look at Imperial Agents, because, like...
I cooked.
Yeah, you actually did on this one.
I argued it before the episode, and Eric even said, damn, that's pretty good.
I was like, oh, we're going to have some dumb Inquisitor.
No, we dodged a dumb Inquisitor. Imperial Agents is submitting the Sisters of Battle Immolator. My dog has something to say about that fact. So the Immolator, again, has a data sheet in Imperial Agents. I think it's important that we point out that Imperial Agents does have access to this stuff. It's not just the unique models. And it's an extra argument because, like, Sisters is going to submit something else, and then people will be mad that we didn't also talk about their tank options.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Immolator is actually in Agents to the point that it's cheaper than, like, taking it outside kind of thing. Like, those are separate categories.
So, Immolator, 12-inch move, fantastic. Toughness 10, 3-up save, 6-up invuln, 11 wounds. Solid, especially because we're at 115 points. We are on the low end. Now, we gotta take Sisters for it, and although technically I haven't seen that rule anywhere in anything yet, but I assume that's an oopsie, we forgot it and it'll be here next month. But anyway, small opening of 11th issues not being mentioned here. We're gonna do that anyway because you're usually taking the Immolator to split Sisters into 5 sister squads.
Yeah, that is kind of a thing.
I'm not going to count the reverse against it when technically usually it's the other way around.
But, like, it doesn't have any melee. Come on, man.
It doesn't, which we're going to take points off for. This is not an A+, but it's a solid pick for a weird faction.
Yeah.
Range-wise, we've got the Immolation Flamers. We've got the Twin Multi-Melta. Throw a Hunter Killer in there so that we can watch something miss. It's funny.
It is funny.
It does decent threats. It has a tough profile to take down. It's a big box that you can park on mid and say, get around this one. I think it does the job of a Distraction Carnifex reasonably.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better than anything else we're realistically going to get from Agents. I don't think it's amazing, though, for a few of those reasons. Where do you think you have it?
No melee's rough, especially for our primary one where we're not just doing this for extra credit.
Yeah, basically.
It's definitely better than Votann's submission. We gave them the pity C-.
We did, okay.
It's considerably better, though. Like, looking at the difference here. Way tougher and way better save. I think I want to say it's just a B.
Yeah, I can see that.
If you want to argue down or up, I'm fine, but I think this is like a solid B. You get a whole letter grade lost because of your melee weapon profile being missing here.
And I do think dedicated transport is a downside.
For almost every other dedicated transport, I would say yes, but I'm not going to take extra off the Immolator for it because of it tending to get used specifically for its ability to split Sisters.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm good with a B on this.
All right, let's move into Guard. Guard, you cannot submit 15 Lehman Russes. You can submit 1.
Yeah, but they're all different.
They are all different. You can submit your tiny little chode. I think it's actually a reasonable pick. Lehman Rust Demolisher, 190 points for just getting out of the pool with a 10-inch move, 11 toughness, a 2-up save, and 13 wounds. We got under the line 4 points, and we've got a great defensive profile, 11 toughness, 2-up save.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another one of those, like, clean defensive profiles.
Now, we could say it has no melee, and it has a blast main ranged weapon, which would normally be points off. But the line breaker ability just means you can fire your chode cannon straight into your melee combat. No negative penalty. Screw that. Just keep blasting.
So anyways, just kept blasting.
With my chode.
So, yeah, okay. Pretty good ranged weaponry. I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah, we've got 2 sponsons with, we can go with Flamers because it's a Carnifex, but multi-meltas work too.
The melee doesn't work, but also...
Demolisher cannon and melee kind of woke.
Yeah, it works. Also, somehow, like, you've figured out the loophole, as it were. So, yeah, that checks. Defensively, it's fantastic.
Does it get to A- or is it B+ because no melee?
I think it's an A-.
Okay. I think it was at least B+, but I'll let them go all the way up to A-. That's fine.
I think that the way it gets around it works well enough that I don't think too many points should be taken off, as it were.
I just want to celebrate the fact that I'm giving the Demolisher a good grade when basically any other time it's in my hands, I hate this thing. By far the ugliest Leman Russ variant. And there are a lot of them to choose from. All of them look better. Every single one.
Okay, we'll take a look at extra credit. We've got one submission, and I think we give them one for all of the rest of the Leman Russes.
Fine.
They are separate sheets, and
It's
there's like
bullshit.
40 of them, so like you get one there. What's your second one?
Armored Sentinels is the second one, and it is definitely at least good enough to pass and get extra credit. 8-inch move, 8 toughness, 2 up save, 7 wounds for 130 points. It has its funny chainsaw for melee. It's got melee profile. You can do it.
Minus 1 AP counts.
It counts. It is enough to get extra credit. We are good. Now, Admech was spicy. This went through iterations. I was talking with the patrons when I was first trying to get ideas for the weirder factions. We came up with a bunch in order of like, there's some weird options. Admech's not very good at having distraction Carnifex. Until someone brought up to look at a Sidonian Dragoon with Taser Lance squad now that they're cheaper. You can get 3 of these for 170. So this is the first time we're going to say 3 models worth of stuff.
I'm skeptical on this, but let's continue.
Eric thinks we should just focus on the 2 model variant at 120.
That feels better to me, but keep going.
Both options exist. I will point out Carnifexes can be led by Old One Eye. That would be 3 models.
I don't know. That doesn't feel like a distraction Carnifex to me. That feels like a blob of Carnifex.
So we either look at this as 2 copies of this at 120 or 3 at 170. 10-inch move, 7 toughness, 3 up save with a 5 up invulnerable save, and stealth, which will matter because we're likely going to have to be outside of terrain for this and all that. They're pretty big, so as a unit, it's hard to keep them all in terrain when they're a unit, but whatever. And 7 wounds per model. Defensively, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Offensively, range weapon-wise, meh.
It's got pistol.
We've got a single shot 5-1-2 pistol. It's meh. But importantly, they're melee weapons. Each of them has a Taser Lance, which have sustained hits 2, Lance, an anti-walker 2-up, which while a funny meme, in this scenario where half of what we're talking about in this episode are walkers, like this is basically a walker showcase.
Yeah, actually.
There's a bunch of relevant models, at least in casual play. So this has 4 attacks for each of them on a 4-up, 7-2-2. Again, Lance, sustained hits 2, and the anti-walker if you want to count that. Really decent.
It is pretty good.
Considering Admech is not a melee faction, they do not have good options for this. We tried looking at robots, but it was kind of iffy.
I mean, they even have a pretty good ability, so you can advance or fall back and charge, and then you can reroll Desperate Escapes if necessary. So like, yeah, it's actually got a pretty big threat range, and it's doing something slightly different than like expectation from Admech.
Yeah, you can like just use these as an offensive distraction Carnifex where you go like, I do not want my opponent's key pieces touching my frail little boys with their guns. So you can go unga bunga with your dragoons, advance and charge, smash into their actual key pieces, lock them in with the dragoons who are decent defensively, not great, but decent defensively, have good hits for the most part on their melee weapons. They will cause damage. And then you can just do fallback, charge again to keep re-triggering Lance.
Yeah, or go after something else.
Yeah, these are solid for tying something up for a very cheap point cost, especially if you want to do the 2 variant for 120. It's 14 wounds with this profile, not too bad. You could say a pair of 120 distraction Carnifex squads. This is reasonable.
The only real downside is it doesn't have ranged. So like the threat is still quite large because of, advanced charge, 10-inch move.
I much rather have the melee than no melee and have ranged when it comes to distraction Carnifexes.
Yeah.
Especially with advance and charge here. It does so much for this.
I mean, stealth can help a decent amount to make sure.
It keeps them tanky at range.
Yeah, I feel like they do a surprisingly good job. I'll be honest. I did not expect anything good from Admech for a distraction Carnifex.
Even psychology-wise, ignoring the man in the gimp suit, even psychology-wise, they're very tall models.
They are noticeable. I'm not sure they're the most intimidating.
They are chickens.
I don't know where they end up, though. I feel like it's a B+.
I think you're a little negative on them here.
Yeah.
I really don't see a reason to take them out of A. Like comparing them to Khorne and stuff, where we went like, yeah, negligible ranged weapon, but your job is to unga bunga into combat with this thing.
True.
This is why I think like they are still probably A- minimum. I don't have enough to pull them below it, especially because they have 2 within the range. You can either go 2 for 120 or 3 for 170.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's doing extra for me. I really like this pick. It's a weird one how good Admech ended up here.
120 points for 2 of them. That's on the cheaper end. They are still reasonably defensive at that. 14 wounds total. Yeah, okay.
All right, A-. We'll take that for Admech. They have managed to dodge their stupid curse of always getting a B.
Yeah, just barely, but I'll give it to them. I was expecting something stupid like Belisarius Call.
No, for extra credit, they'll only submit 1. The Onager Doomcrawler. It's great in every single way for this assignment right up until it has no melee weapon.
Yeah, the Doomcrawler legs, 3 attacks on a 4-up, 6 strength, 0 AP, 1 damage.
It's not good enough, guys.
Nope.
I'm not counting that. That's Armored Hull with a different name and a strength.
Which is disappointing because, like, I feel like they should have another attack. Look at it. Come on.
Yeah, you pointed out, like, it's got the drill arm and everything. Why doesn't it have, like, that for some extra attacks? Like, even if they're kind of junky.
Just something.
If it had just a little more on the melee side, this might have been a solid A pick. Like, everything else is right, but good enough.
It gets the extra credit point, which leads us into Custodes. It's one of the Dreadnoughts.
Say it with me. Dreadnoughts are pretty much auto A pluses in this. We're going to say a lot of them. We have to do Space Marines too. Let's just go with the Contemptor Achilles. 155 points. It's a custodian. I mean, T9, 2-up save, 5 invuln, 10 wounds. Yeah, it's good. Only 6-inch move, little awkward. It's all right.
It is a bit slow, but that's fine.
It's my one problem with this unit. Range weapon wise, you've got your classic like strength 9, AP -2, damage 3 here with the spear's shot version. And then it's got its extra shots from its wrist rockets. Perfectly fine range weapons. Melee weapons, the spear is 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, 12 -2, D6 +1. Yeah, okay. We passed the bar and flew past.
Yeah, I mean, it's also got an ability that's killy a little bit.
It falls in the like useless distraction Carnifex flashy ability of slightly annoying, kind of just doing stuff. It does everything. Do we take points off for a 6-inch move?
I feel like
we should,
but also I don't like, so Custodes, unless you're on jet bike, 6 is like their fast speed. So it's not like you're out running the rest of the army, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody, they're not going to have to wait for you to get up there kind of thing. So I don't think it's an A+ because of that, but I don't know if it gets to an A- just because like it's Custodes.
Everything is good except for the move. The move's a little awkward, but it's not as bad as like the 5-inch that we had with our spider.
Yeah, 6 is definitely on the lower side, and like you're not doing great because of it, but like I feel like an A's fine.
For extra credit, the Contemptor Galatis does the job just fine, and the normal Contemptor as well, as much as it's a meme compared to the other two who are way sexier looking.
Yeah, all right. Good enough.
Done. We didn't even have to get into like bike captain arguments and stuff.
Yeah, because like all the Dreadnoughts, they hit the points, which leads us into Adeptus Sororitas.
All right, sisters.
And they don't have Dreadnoughts, so.
No, and I'm going to ignore all of the tank options they could try submitting here. We talked about the Immolator up top. I'll tell you what, you can have an extra credit for the Immolator and an extra credit for whichever of these two we don't decide is the main one. So we've got the Mortifiers and the Penitent Engines. They are both perfect picks for this. You either get 2 Mortifiers for 130 or 2 Penitent Engines for 140. Let's go with Mortifiers.
That's my initial assumption. Mortifiers have an 8-inch move, 6 toughness, 4-up save, 6-up invuln, 5 wounds, and a 5-up feel no pain.
Yeah, which is doing a lot to save the defensive profile. Toughness is their weak point.
Technically, they have a war gear option that can give you a 3-up save.
I think we should count it. One of them has a 3-up save. You only have a 7-inch move, but I already argued in Drukhari 7-inch move is enough for this. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. We're not amazing defensively here, but it is, I feel like it's passing the bar.
On 130, you can be on the lower end. I'd really like the extra toughness, but it's fine.
Ranged weapons, we've got flamers. I hear that that's pretty good in Sisters.
The heavy bolter as well for like the, if you want 5 -1, 2.
Yeah, but like we got flamers and Sisters. That's good.
They each get 2 copies of this weapon though, right?
That sounds right.
So there's 4 heavy bolters, that's not bad.
Honestly, that's a decent amount of firepower. All right.
It's not going to be as crazy as like the anti-tank options that we can do elsewhere.
But like, it's gonna do something. At a certain point, there is enough heavy bolter fire that you need to actually like respect that output. But more importantly, the melee.
All right, so melee wise, you can either go double buzzsaw, double flail, or one of each. One of each is probably a good default to talk about. So this gives you basically a sweep profile and a strike profile. They both have sustained hit 1. The blade is 4 attacks at 10 minus 3/2. The flail is 8 attacks at 5 minus 1/1, which is essentially like having a sweep profile on that weapon.
Very similar, yeah.
The double up versions just lock you to 1, but you get twin linked, which is good.
Either way, the melee is pretty good.
Yeah. The Buzzblade alone, 10 minus 3/2, 4 attacks of that is on the fine end. That's up there with most of the good ones we've talked about. My main 2 flaws here, talking about the whole thing, is toughness 6 is a little worse than I would like. And ranged wise, 4 heavy bolters or 4 flamers is something, but
it's not amazing. It's enough that I feel like it gets the job done, but isn't really a threat that much kind of thing. Like, it's a threat because of the expectation that, oh, next turn they're going to charge with that melee.
I do have to say, as long as they get into melee, the fight on death ability helps a lot, just as like they're always doing work in melee.
Yeah.
Which again gives you the option of like park them. If your opponent doesn't have good shooting, park them, give them flamers, overwatch with 4 flamers, and then whatever makes it into combat with you, even if they get to go first, you're getting off your attacks in most situations.
That does make the opponent concerned about what they're going to invest because damage is coming back kind of thing. I think they're great. Even from like an aesthetic model view, the mortifiers are terrifying. You gotta kind of deal with them before they become a real problem.
So where are we putting them?
I don't know that I can realistically give that high of a grade to something with such weak defense.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem. I think they're still stuck at B.
I think it's just a solid B.
And I know people are going to scream that we wasted the immolator on agents, to which I say, comments below, please. Engagement bait. Enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe the penitent engine gets better, right? Like, come on.
I think it's slightly better / worse. It's 10 more points. You lose the fight on death, but you gain advance and charge, which helps with the melee profiles and helps with your threat of not having much in the way of ranged attacks. But as Eric pointed out, the main problem we have is defensively, and you actually lose your war gear option that helped with your defense.
Yeah.
And like, I can't put it higher than the mortifier because our main issue bringing it down is the defense.
It really is. So yeah, I'm with you. It might be just like the same grade. So like whatever, it gets the extra credit at the very least.
And you could have your other extra credit for the immolator.
Yeah.
Sisters is full of like, you've got 5 solid B's to C's all sitting there.
Yeah. The only like potential question then is Morven Val.
She was on the long list as well. Don't see her doing better.
Yeah. A similar grade.
The epic hero, again, like we talked about, is points off.
Yeah.
There's Frey. She's T7, 8 wounds, 3 up, 4 up, with a 5 up, feel no pain. She might actually be the best pick, but she's an epic hero. How much points do you take off for an epic hero? I guess because she's brand new, I hadn't thought of her till last second here.
You brought that up and I was like, who the fuck? Oh, right. The toilet.
Yeah. Karamazov after transitioning. We support her.
100%.
It's June, baby. Frey, God, epic hero's the only problem with this model. It fixes my other problems. She hits the defensive profile. She has solid ranged weapon option.
Oh, she's got it all. That's not options. That's just, she has all of that shit. A-, B+ realistically for being an epic hero, and that's it.
All right, you know what? Last second Hail Mary for Sisters. Frey can have the A-, and then you can have your 2 extra credits for anything in the list. I'm good with that. Shout out to the new model saving the day just as we were about to give up.
Yeah. Freya honestly has a pretty good defensive profile, especially for Sisters. Honestly, I feel like probably an A-. Makes sense to me.
So let's round things out with Space Marines, the easiest A+ of our lives.
Well, I don't know. The Dreadnought itself is
We're not checking the Dreadnought. That's extra credit.
Oh, okay.
The Brutalis Dreadnought, the easiest A+, 8-inch move, 10 toughness, 2 up save, 12 wounds. Take your pick on ranged weapons. Let's just go with, we got multi-meltas in our titties, and then melee, all the yes. It's an A+. You don't really have to explain much with the Dreadnought. It's basically just a better Carnifex for more points. For extra credit, we can say the Redemptor with the Onslaught Gatling to get under 200 points.
I was going to say, I don't know about the points on this, Chief, but yeah, I guess they got lucky.
And the normal Dreadnought, just like with GK, it's fine.
It really isn't, but yeah, it is.
It's fine. When you look at it on paper, 9 toughness, 2 up save, 8 wounds, infinite range weapon options, half of which are good enough for anybody else. It still gets its Dreadnought combat weapon.
Yeah, it is fine for the points.
It's just, it lacks all intimidation factor.
It does. It really does.
Now, we have a bit of news to end this episode on. Next week, the episode will contain instructions for the giveaway for July, our first giveaway. This will have 2 grand prizes. 2 boxes of Armageddon will go to 2 lucky winners, and we have 5 runners-up will be getting a copy of Space Marine 2. All of our paid patrons, no matter which tier you're at, congratulations, you're automatically entered as long as you don't opt out by removing your address. For anyone who wants to join for free, there will be instructions next episode on how to apply, or the easy answer of support us on Patreon, and then you don't gotta worry.
Yeah, patreon.com/SlowlySingleton.
All right, that does it for us this week. We are out of here.
Sounds good.